another year has passed. 2015 was a pretty crazy year for me. I mean, I graduated film school and made Amiibo the movie, and I'm finally on the right track to bringing Nitro Rad up to the desired level of production value. And I played video games. I played a lot of video games. So, with 2016 on the rise and 2015 on not the... I guess it's time for me to talk about my experience with games this year. So here's the 10 I enjoyed the most. I'm Nitro Rad, and these are my top 10 raddest games from 2015. Number 10. Yokai Watch first caught my attention when I saw those dumb commercials Nintendo uploaded to YouTube. They've got that childish sense of humor that I just can't get enough of. And I don't mean the humor kids actually find funny, I mean the humor adults think kids find funny. The show is chock full of this stuff, and so is the game. Being written off as a Pokemon clone by many, Yokai Watch is actually a fairly unique take on the age-old formula of catching them all. I also hope you guys don't mind trailer footage, because I don't have any way to capture 3DS footage. With an enjoyable battle system and loads of personality, Yokai Watch quickly grew on me as I began to fall in love with all of the stupid and adorable characters. And of course, with writing that I childishly find hilarious, Yokai Watch was definitely my number one handheld choice of 2015. I never really consider myself much of a DC fan, or much of a superhero fan for that matter, but I know a great game when I play one, and Arkham Knight is fan-freaking-tastic. Batman's latest adventure takes place on my favorite day of the year, good ol' Halloween. Soaring the skies of Gotham and beating up baddies never felt more satisfying with Batman's new Fear takedown, but the addition of the Batmobile is really what made the game for me. Blasting away at tanks with those pretty explosions lighting up the sky was something I never grew tired of. What really had me hooked was the plot. Bruce's internal struggle made for some bizarre and surreal moments. Now, while many of the twists were pretty predictable, and believe me, I don't know anything about Batman, and even I guessed who the Arkham Knight was, seeing these dark and brutal events pan out is easily what kept me playing.
This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World have been two of my favorite games for about as long as I can remember. Hell, Super Mario Bros. 3 was the first video game I've ever played. I like to see Mario Maker as an endless expansion to those two. It's infinite levels for two of my favorite Mario games. Building your own stages has never been so easy and fun. Like, want to make something awesome and challenging? Do it! Want to make something plain stupid? Do it!
Dylan's gay. Dylan's gay.
In fact, my friend Nick made a level that spells out his entire social insurance number in coins. By playing this level, you could potentially steal his identity. If you manage to make it past the impossible wall of Bowsers and fire. Ah, yes, finally, the triumphant return of Tony Hawk. Sucked. I always thought of the Yakuza series as a spiritual successor to Shenmue, walking around Japan doing daily stuff. The difference here, though, is that you are the most badass Japanese dude on the planet. It kind of reminds me of Taxi Driver in a way that this man who previously lived a much more dangerous life is trying to cope with leading a normal life and implementing himself in society. And you also work for a taxi company. So, there's that. Though it initially released in Japan in 2012, Yakuza V was finally localized and released in North America just this year. There's a crazy amount of detail in this game. You get a great sense of really being in Japan with the crowded streets, spoken dialogue, and things to do. Hell, you can walk into a convenience store, open up a manga, and just flip through the whole thing. I really dig the combat in this game because you can do things like this, and this, and this. I cannot figure out why everyone in Japan thinks it's a good idea to mess with this guy. I really like the side quests too. It's not always your typical stuff like beating up thugs or finding items. Yakuza 5 will have you running ramen shops and helping students study for their exams. You help this high school student pass his college entrance exams. Now that's what I call a side quest.
6.
We can't let history change.
The Dragon Ball Z game I've always wanted finally got made this year. Dragon Ball Xenoverse has you creating your very own Dragon Ball Z character and implementing them in a brand new story involving Trunks' time patrol, sending you back in time to make sure the Dragon Ball Z canon doesn't get messed up. My character was the love child between Goku and Piccolo named Gokolo. If you think that's dumb, you need to walk around the lobby and take a look at the other fan-made characters people have made. I've had such a fun time just looking at all of the stupid and hilarious characters people have made. I felt this was the first Dragon Ball Z game to strongly replicate the feeling of the show, how each villain seems so powerful the first time you fight them and you train to become stronger and eventually overcome them. To avoid totally tiresome grinding, the game has what's known as parallel quests to take on. These are co-op side quests you can take on with friends. Beating these is the best way to level up, learn new moves, and get strong enough to beat the next big villain. Also, I made Zoda from Star Tropics. That's pretty cool. I am praying for a sequel to this game. We need a scenario where the villain turbocharges Sharpener and you gotta make sure that Gohan still wins the baseball game. Make this happen. Now here's a game I simply couldn't put down. I'm usually not too big on Metroidvania titles, but Axiom Verge was one I absolutely loved to get lost in. The extensive amount of weapons you can find hidden around the map are all unique and fun to use, making exploration extremely rewarding. The game's presentation really hit the mark with me. All of the pulsating organic flora and rough sound design gave me that weird and gross planet feel that Metroid made me fall in love with years and years ago. Having mechanics revolving around corrupting game assets was really cool, and I can't think of any other games that do that. Mash in a hella tight synth soundtrack and you've got yourself one of the finest indie titles to grace 2015. Xenoblade Chronicles X. This game takes the elements of exploration and amps them up to levels I did not know existed. While playing the original Xenoblade, I loved seeing all of the crazy architecture, but I always wished I could get up there. You can do that in Xenoblade X. If a place exists on the map, some way or another, you can go up there. And chances are there's probably something to do there too. I have never played a game with an open world I wanted to explore more than Xenoblade X's Planet Mira. Now while the story isn't quite as strong and the learning curve's quite a bit steeper than its predecessor, Xenoblade X's expanded gameplay elements made me have a hard time putting the controller down. I might not have been on the edge of my seat for the next plot twist, but my hands were glued to that gamepad until I finally found what's up that mountain or in that cave. And then the moment happens when you get your first skull and you're able to explore so much more that you didn't even know existed. It's a game full of windows you can't see, and every turn you take, another one opens. You can add this one to the list of incredible indie games that had a Kickstarter I'd never heard of. Undertale is a sweet and cute adventure game full of lovable characters, godlike comedic writing, and a story that'll kick your emotions in the balls. If you want to have a great time, play Undertale. If you want to have a really bad time, play Undertale. Sporting a unique and challenging battle system combining elements of bullet hell with elements of negotiation, Undertale dares you to be young and innocent. If you've avoided this game just because of the insane fandom, do yourself a favor and play it anyway. Seriously, don't let them ruin it for you. Undertale does things I don't think video games have done before. It's made me feel things I rarely have a game make me feel, and that's why it's the #1 indie title of 2015. I'm not often a huge fan of open world or medievalish RPGs like Skyrim or the Souls games, but The Witcher 3 took me by storm. I feel it hits a good middle ground between simpler games I enjoy like Assassin's Creed, but incorporates just the right amount of elements from more complex RPGs like Skyrim. If you ask me, The Witcher 3's best selling point isn't the story or the size of the open world or even the cool moves and spells you can learn. It's how engaging a world of characters this game has. Every single side quest in this game feels like a chapter in its own book, with developed characters and a story arc. It's never really a matter of, I need a thing or I need you to kill a thing. Here we have people with real problems, and there's always multiple ways to go about it, creating many different outcomes for the quest. The amount of detail in this game is absolutely insane. I've never had a better time leveling up in a game because I wanted to do all of these quests. I wanted to see what little stories the world had to offer. I wanted to explore and find things I didn't know existed. And that's pretty easy when the game takes place in a universe full of hellspawn. I was just exploring this cave here and I stumbled upon a super deer demon man. I hardly got a glimpse of it before it killed me. It was scary, but it was awesome. I wanted to go back when I was strong enough to take that thing on and find out what that cave hides. The Witcher 3 is easily not only the best open-world adventure RPG this year, but possibly ever made.
Find something else to laugh at. I don't know, catch some frogs and shove straws up their asses.
That one of your Witcher games?
Witcher version's different. Don't make me show you.
Where do I even begin? Metal Gear Solid 5, it's huge, it's crazy, it's awesome. I've never felt like I've had so much strategic freedom in any game, period. Approach anything from anywhere with any tool or any weapon, the possibilities are endless. Building Mother Base was a lot of fun too, kidnapping soldiers and developing new items for you to use on the field. But let's be honest here, I know we were all a little disappointed by the story. I mean, you got Konami to thank for that, pushing the game out before Kojima could even finish the second chapter. Then they fired the poor guy so they could spend more money on making pachinko machines. What we got was a really weird ending that just kinda comes out of nowhere. I don't even think it's as much as the ending itself as how it's presented. In Chapter 2, there's no rising action, no climax, no nothing really. You just keep beating missions that are harder versions of past missions until you unlock the ending from a menu screen for seemingly no reason. But let's push that aside. The ending may have been a little disappointing, but everything else was incredible. Chapter 1 had a very satisfying story arc, and I think we all shed at least a couple of tears by the time we were done in that quarantine part of Mother Base. I guess it's just really easy to get hung up on what's not there when what was there left us wanting so much more. It may not have entirely been the story I was hoping for, but it was definitely my favorite game of 2015. Stealthing around has never been so fluid, so seamless, so free and fun. And for a game that's not quite done, the amount of content is astounding. I had over 100 hours logged into the game when I was just grazing the 70% completion mark. After Peace Walker, it's everything I could ever want from a Metal Gear Solid game. And the amount of material to work with has spawned so many MGS5 videos we've made over my sketch comedy channel, Garanicore.
Big balls. Big dick.
I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from picking Metal Gear Solid 5 as my favorite game this year, but I enjoyed playing it more than anything else this year, and that's a fact. Besides, these are just my 10 favorite games from this year, so why don't you guys tell me which ones you enjoyed the most in the comments. I'd say this was a pretty good year for video games, and not just like main releases either, but like DLC as well. Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Shovel Knight, Lisa, and The Witcher 3 just off the top of my head. They all had really good DLC. I can't imagine that trend's gonna last long. Well, I guess that's all I gotta say for this year. And for those wondering, Splatoon, it was an easy 11th spot. I hope you guys had a great year, and I guess now that 2015's over, now we just gotta look forward to 2016. And believe me, there's a lot to look forward to. So thank you guys for watching so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have yourselves a great night, and take care.
Take care.
If you want to check out one of the before-mentioned sketch comedy Metal Gear Solid videos we've been doing, we got a link to one of them right here. In this one, Master Miller goes on a mission because that's a great idea. So check it out.
What the hell? The second I found out you could record your voice, that's the first thing I did because I knew you were gonna come over later.